Hello and welcome to the review of Champions. I am your host, Grandmaster. Sony, they decided to work with Marvel Studios after the amazing Spider Man movies did not so well as they had hoped. Uh, Sony kept the rights to the character, but Marvel Studios could use the character in team up movies and had creative control over the solo movies. This deal also meant that Spider Man could be brought into the MCU. The money, of course, would be for Sony and maybe a bit for Marvel Studios. I don't know exactly the details of the deal, but we'll discuss that. Um, we had already had his introduction into the MCU in Captain America Civil War. But in the summer of 2017, it was time for Spidey to definitely come home. Definitively come home, I should say. Tom Holland, he took the reins of being Peter Parker. No Ben Parker was included in the films, which led to some controversy left, right, and center. And Marisa Tomei became Aunt May. We'll get to her too. And of course, we get to know the side characters like Ed and MJ. And the main villain in the first movie was Vulture. He was portrayed by Michael Keaton. As was common for the MCU, Homecoming was a critical and financial success. It started propelling Tom Holland on his way to becoming one of Hollywood's biggest stars. I'm not here alone. I'm not going to discuss the movie by myself. I have two champions with me. First up on camera, we have the original Mr. Taylor First. How are you this fine evening?
I'm great, thank you.
It's great to hear. Voice only, we have Lokismom. How are you?
I have my spidey sense going, but I'm doing good.
Ah, great. The Peter Dingle, as they say. Well, Taylor, were you happy that Sony and Marvel Studios cut a deal and brought the Spider-Man character into the MCU that way?
I was extremely happy that they did
Yeah.
that, just because the MCU had created this great universe with all these different characters, and I really, really wanted to see Spider-Man in that universe, interacting with
Mhm.
those characters, as well as doing solo stories within that greater universe.
Yeah. And uh, did they do that well, in your opinion? Before we start into details about this movie, but
I would say they did it very well, starting with his introduction, of course, in Civil War, and his first solo outing here in Homecoming. I
mhm.
think they did a fantastic job, and if this weekend's box office is any indication, they're still going pretty strong here.
Yeah, I don't think if you look at Sony's bank account, they regret this decision. But
Yeah.
anyway, Loki's mom, how do you feel about Sony just keeping the character, but it's in the MCU, Marvel Studios can use him? Is that okay for you? Or you really would like to see Sony sell the character back to Marvel Studios? We don't
Well,
care.
I mean, it didn't seem like it made much of a difference. They were able to bring Peter directly into the MCU with with his introduction in Civil War, and then of course his the movies, Spider-Man movies, have been some of the best that I think they did. Even though Sony produced it, it still worked. I mean, I could have told the difference if you had to told me that two separate studios did this. I wouldn't have known, but of course, Marvel was the actual production company, so that they kept the continuity there and kept it everything the way it should be. So Sony worked with, I guess Disney was the parent company at that point, but yeah, as far as that goes, I didn't even realize there was controversy about it, and it worked out just fine for me. If I'd have heard about the controversy or not, I would still enjoyed it just as much.
Mhm. Tom Holland, is he a great Peter Parker, great Spider-Man?
Well, yeah, but I'll put it this way: Tom Holland's a very good actor. He fit the part. He looks, somewhat younger than what he really is, but even so, he was believable as a 15-year-old, and Yeah, I didn't have any problem with Tom Holland playing the character. I wasn't attached to either Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield either way, so him playing it was just fine with me.
Mm. Taylor, what do you think of Tom Holland in the role of Peter Parker slash Spider Man?
I think he's great as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I think he's about as perfect casting as you could get at this point in time. I think Tobey Maguire did a great job. I have a couple of issues with the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but I think Garfield actually did a pretty good job of playing Peter Parker in those movies. But I think Tom Holland is at least as good as both of those, and of course he's had more chances to do more things.
Mm.
But he might be even a little bit better than the other two.
Mm. Oh, look. Yeah, nostalgia puts Toby usually at number one, but you hear and hear more that Tom Holland may actually be the best one. But I don't want to give an opinion on that. I don't care actually. I the actor is doing a great job in the role, and that's it for me. That's fine. Taylor, let's talk about the movie itself. Um, did you like the movie as a movie? I know you're a big Spider-Man fan. We have established that. So you said you had some issues with Amazing Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man Homecoming. Did it redeem Sony, the character, the Spider-Man in live action for you? Was it good enough?
Yeah, it was more than good enough. I mean, it completely erased any issues that I had with the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And I don't actually, I don't hate the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but I do have some issues that really kind of bothered me about them. But I didn't hate them. But Sony, I mean, Sony did the smartest thing it possibly could. Keeps the rights, but gives the creative control to the MCU, which of course, is the king of Hollywood at this
Mm-hmm.
point. And as far as like selling Spider-Man back to Marvel, there is not enough money in the world to get Sony to sell Spider-Man back to
No.
Marvel and Disney. They would. That's literally their cash cow.
Yeah, if Sony sells Spider-Man back to Marvel, then they can basically stop making movies because
Yeah.
it's the only one that really makes them money.
And my understanding of the arrangement is it's really pretty good for everybody. Um, Sony gets the majority of the box office. Disney Marvel Studios gets a smaller portion of the box office, but Disney Marvel Studio gets all of the merchandising, which of
Yeah,
course is humongous.
yeah.
So I don't feel sorry for anybody in this situation. They're all doing
Mm,
pretty much better than I am. So I
yeah,
think
if
everyone's good.
if you look at it realistically, this is the best outcome for everybody, and I think it's also an outcome that everybody wants to hold on to because everybody has its best interest is to keep this going. I mean,
Absolutely. The
finally
only
came out recently that he had plans until 2042. I'm gonna be like 69 at that point. Okay. Um, so I guess they want to keep Spider Man, Tom Holland, swinging around until that moment.
yeah, I just wish Sony had not tried and failed to make those live action Spider-Man without Spider-Man movies, but we don't need to talk about those here today. I just wish they had just handed all the characters over to the MCU. But
Yeah.
it is what it
No.
is. Let's talk about Homecoming.
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
any criticisms of this movie?
Not really. I mean, it's a really great movie. Of course, it is enmeshed in the universe. We saw where, of course, Tony Stark recruited Spider-Man in Civil War, and in this movie, he has kind of taken him under his wing and is sort of mentoring him. Spider-Man, of course, being a kid, wants to do more than the adult wants to let him do at this point. It's the old story, but it's all carried out very well. The introduction of all the other characters, I think, is well. I think all the casting is great. Ned, MJ, Michael Keaton was fantastic as Vulture. Uh, you know, superhero movies always benefit from having a good villain, and he did a great job. You know, in this version of Vulture, which is quite different than a lot of the comic book versions, but there's multiple versions in the comics, so who cares? This version, he was kind of a working class guy who had some bad luck because he had a contract with his company to clean up the mess after the Chitauri invasion, and then that contract was taken away from him, which put him and his people into some financial difficulty. So he started hoarding, sneaking away some Chitauri tech and using it to make weapons and commit crimes for himself. Again, great backstory, great development for the character. He's not alone. He's got guys working for him. We see Shocker a little bit in this movie. So again, a lot of world building. Spider-Man himself, of course, he's Peter Parker. Holland does a great job of just playing a kid from Queens, going to school, has a girlfriend. Of course, we find out later it turns out to be the Vulture's daughter. Meets other people. I mean, I'm just kind of rambling on here about stuff that's in the movie, but it was all just done really well. The stunts and action scenes were great. The characterizations was great. Again, it all came together really well. I think in this.
Yeah.
I think you had a villain. You had great acting on the parts of all the characters involved. You had good writing for all of the characters. None of them were just like cookie cutter background there because they were in the comic, so we have to put them in there type stuff. Different version of MJ than what we've seen in the past. They want to do something a little different. We have seen a lot of Spider-Man even before this in many different versions. So you have to change it up a little bit. So they did a
Mhm.
different version of Spider-Man. We have Ned, a different version of Flash. But again, it all just came together really well. Again, of course the inclusion of Iron Man and Happy Hogan, and the references, of course, to the Chitauri invasion and other incidents, the references to Civil War, all
Mhm.
all meshed very well, all melded together very well, and I think it just came out as one of the MCU's really best movies. There's really no flaws in it at all that I can see.
Okay. Well, Lokismom, do you have any criticisms of Spider-Man: Homecoming, and particular highlights, maybe?
No, I'm like Taylor. I thought this was just a really well done movie. Probably, certainly the top tier of if you want to like A's and B's and C's if you want to list them like that. That's up in the A tier. Absolutely. I I'm sitting here racking my brain trying to figure out any criticisms of it, and I really don't.
Well, then don't.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, just give me highlights then.
Well, he mentioned Michael Keaton, and absolutely, he's Michael Keaton's one of my favorite actors. I've followed
Mhm.
his career ever since he really, was just playing second banana to other actors, but then he really stepped out and he was, of course, Batman. And to me, he's the best Batman that they had up to this point. Um, so seeing him here in this villain role was just a delight. And I really didn't know he was going to be in the movie when I first. I think I never saw this movie in the theaters. I saw it on television when it became available years ago. So when he popped up on screen real quick, I mean that was just made my day. As far as okay, now I'm going to watch this movie seriously. So, and yeah, he had, and there was one just absolutely brought his acting skills to it. Was in that car when he's taking his daughter and Peter to the homecoming dance, and he slowly realizes that that's Peter Parker and Spider Man are one of the same, and you saw it just come over his face, and I thought that was just really well played and chilling. Uh, and like I said, kudos to Mr. Keaton. Also, I loved
And
Aunt
Mr.
May.
Holland. I think actually that scene is one of the best scenes in Spider-Man live action and in the MCU. That scene from the moment Peter rings that door until he steps out of the car.
Mm-hmm.
That amazing. The tension, the acting. Without saying much, you can see what's going on, and I really adore that scene. I
Well,
think
I'm glad that
it's great.
somebody else recognized it for what it was. Like I said, I think that was the best scene in the whole movie. I'll agree. And oh, and you're absolutely right. Tom Holland also. I mean, the fear on his face. You know, suddenly he realizes who he's dating. You know, and whose daughter he's dating. And also, I'll give high points to Marissa Tomei, and I know that I guess that was an odd out because we have a young Aunt May. We always, I think, in the other films and the comics, she's this loving elderly lady with the white hair and a bun on top, and but here she's a vibrant young single woman and raising her nephew on her own, and she just really, I think, brought a lot to that to the just the sweetness, I think, of her character and her ability. And like I say, she's also a very fine actress, and um, really can't complain. Like you say, I love good acting, so this movie really delighted me as far as that goes. I sort of thought MJ, she was a little bit static. I think maybe because she's. I'm not sure if she was a professional actress. You know, if that's how she started out or whatever. I'm not familiar with the actress per se, but I thought maybe she was a little bit, and also Ned there again. I think it was, oh gee, he was just Cully, and you know the teenagers in the basement, you know, doing building the atomic bomb is like one of my least favorite plot lines.
Yeah, understood, understood,
So
understood.
I think there was a little bit of that, maybe just kind of irritate me, but other way it wasn't enough to make me dislike this movie in any way though.
Yeah, okay. Taylor?
Yeah, just to follow up on MJ, yeah, I agree. Um, Zendaya had already been acting for quite a while. She's been acting since she was a tiny child, so she had um, acting experience. But I do think the character, they hadn't quite found the footing for MJ's character at that point. She was a little bit annoying at times, a little bit of a caricature, snarky, you know, outspoken teenage girl type character. And I think in the following movies, I think she developed a lot better. And I think they made her a much more relatable and more real feeling character and a more normal person than she was in this movie. Not that it was bad or anything, but just
Yeah.
I just think they hadn't quite nailed down exactly what they wanted that character to be at this point.
Yeah, I have the feeling they wanted to make her look like she was like an ugly duckling, weird type teenage
Yeah,
girl. But yeah, how ugly can you make Zendaya look? I mean, that's quite hard.
yeah,
And they just tried to make her weird, so she wouldn't fit in. And the alternative type, everybody knows them. So
right,
yeah, and later when they just made her his girlfriend or his girlfriend to be or ex girlfriend by now, she fit much better in that role, I think,
yeah,
and got less irritating. Yeah, I agree with that. But she did a fine job in the movie.
oh yes.
Yeah. Loki's mom. Anything you want to add?
Let's see. Let me look at my notes. Oh, one thing that I did like, this was, here again we sort of get back onto the street level of how the people are recovering from the very immediately from the Battle of New York. Probably just a few years, since that happened, and of course Vulture. That's where he's making his nefarious living, is selling contraband uh, Qatari equipment, but. Yeah, the scenes. I think there was like three great scenes, and of course, I did love how in this particular version, Spider-Man kept screwing up, and at the big scene in the middle on the Staten Island ferry, where that was just so well done. And of course, at the very end, here comes Tony Stark. He had to fine. And Peter Parker's always like screwing up, teenage screw up, and then he has to go back and fix everything, and then makes it worse, and then it kind of keeps that
Hmm.
that pattern keeps going. So I did love how they integrated Tony Stark in this particular movie without him, dominating it because let's face it, Robert Downey Jr.'s you
Yeah.
can't help but just not look at him. You're gonna when he's on screen, you're gonna look only at him. But I think in this particular movie, Tom was able to hold his own against him. So yeah,
Mhm.
kudos to that.
Yeah. Well, I do have a little criticisms of the movie. Just there's one particular scene that I just it feels odd to me, and maybe it shouldn't be in there, but I think they put it in there just to foreshadow the Iron Spider, and that's the scene at the Avengers compound. It feels like a little bit of an add-on. Oh yeah, we need to set some things up for the future, and if they had finished the movie like with Peter Parker on the roller coaster in Coney Island, and then do like the review that he gets the suit back from Tony, and May finds out that he is Spider Man. That would have been enough. That whole scene with Happy in the toilet and everything just feels a little bit added on and out of place. I don't know. To me, that scene is not needed in this movie. What do you think, Lokismom, Taylor? How wrong am I?
Uh, Enough to where I'm not sure what you're talking about. Apparently, the scene
Well, it
didn't
just
bother
feels
me at all.
weird the way Robert Downey Jr. acts and behaves. It felt a bit like it was written last moment and added into the movie.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get that, but yeah, I mean, I guess they had to integrate to keep bringing this particular Spider-Man into the MCU. They had to. I guess they had to do that. They had to integrate him more into the story, to the storyline, so we don't get confused with the Amazing Spider-Man adventures. Because I
Hmm.
think there was a lot. Yeah, after like I say, Spider-Man is one of the most popular of the Marvel characters, and he had a I believe there what Taylor wasn't there a cartoon series with Spider
Oh,
Man years ago.
there were multiple cartoon series. The first one
Yeah.
was in 1967, and
Uh-huh.
then there were a couple in the 80s and the 90s, and there's still new ones being made now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it's not like they really had to form his character into the MCU. So I can see why they used the Iron Man and of course Happy, uh, uh, his assistant, in bringing them into the plot, so that and certainly Happy is a thread that kind of carries all the way through the next few movies also.
Yeah, well, maybe it's just me. I just don't particularly care for that scene.
That
Uh,
If I'm
yeah,
remembering right, because I did not rewatch the movie specifically for this here, but I've seen it several times. You're talking about the scene at the end where he's at the compound and
yeah,
Tony's like going to introduce him to a crowd or something as a member
yeah.
of
To
the
the press.
Avengers,
Yeah,
and it ends up Tony is going to announce his engagement to Pepper instead, or
yeah,
something at the
exactly.
end. Yeah, that's the scene where Gwyneth Paltrow did not even know she was in a Spider-Man movie. She thought that was
Yeah,
a an Avengers movie. She said in later interviews. Um, it didn't bother me at all. It sort of set up future Spider-Man stuff because he did choose not to become a full-fledged member of the Avengers at that time, and of
mhm.
course it kind of part of being the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the movies kind of have to, in some way, set up or at least lead into future things. And I think it was just there for those purposes. It didn't really bother me at the
Yeah.
time.
No, okay. Well, maybe it's just me. It just feels like a little bit of shoehorned in there, and the way the acting is not great in that scene, and the dialogue seems a little bit clunky. Like it was written last moment. There was not much time, and indeed, like maybe they even recorded it during the taping of Infinity War. Those characters were there
Hmm.
anyway. So and then they edited it in. I don't know, but it just felt weird. But that's just me. Um, but anyway, um, okay. Michael Keaton, by the way, I loved him since Beetlejuice, but that's another movie I know
Absolutely.
him from. So
And one thing I want to point out just real quick that I really loved the concept and the design and the execution of the Vulture's wings
Yeah.
were so cool. And the way they integrated the Chitauri tech into it to make it, again, feel like part of the universe that we already have. And it just looked badass.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, now you mention it, there's the scene that I also really love is the scene when Peter has chased him down to his lair compound, whatever you want to call it, and he confronts him, and then the vulture sends his wings through the compound,
Yeah.
breaking all the columns, and then the roof comes falling down on Spider-Man. And you get that scene where he looks into the puddle and you see half his face and half his mask, and then he remembers what Tony said: if you don't have the suit, if you're nothing without the suit, you then shouldn't have it. And then he proves to everyone, and especially to himself, that he is something without the suit. And yeah, that's a great scene.
Yeah.
So let's do a rating for Spider-Man Homecoming. And I'm going to start with you, Lokismom.
I will give this film 9 spiderwebs.
Okay. Taylor?
You got to hand it to Spider-Man. He does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out. Here comes the Spider-Man. I will give him a 10 out of 10 for this first outing here.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of saw that coming. I'm going to go 8 out of 10. Just because I think there's better movies in the MCU out there. That's a personal taste. I still loved this movie, and I can forgive them for the 8 years later title card. Which was kind of a continuity error, but yeah, nobody's perfect. Also, Spider-Man is not perfect. That will end.
Oh, there was one scene. It's actually playing right now. I mentioned it's where it's a ripoff or a take or an homage to Ferris Bueller's Day Off when he's running through the backyard.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's right. That scene is in there absolutely, and
And then they actually show the Ferris Bueller in the background.
yeah, that's the funny part. It's the same scene, and then yeah. It's a great movie. I just think there's better in the MCU, but that's personal. That will end our discussion today, and I have nothing left to do but make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And join our forum at Freeforms.net. Join our conversation. Just click on the link in the description, and you're very close. You can talk to Taylor directly. Who doesn't want to do that? Next time, we will have a lot of fun discussing the end of all things. And we will continue our track in our Star Trek project with the start of our Star Trek Voyager review series. And much more coming your way. We're discussing and planning and plotting, and you will see. But for now, I wish you all to be safe and be well. This is Grandmaster signing off.